Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, so stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Everyone. My name is Jen. I am your hostess for the evening, and with me, as always, we have Henno and Brian. Hey, guys.
Howdy. I'm Brian. Sorry, I have no idea why I wanted to do that, but I did.
Welcome, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Oh, silliness.
Yep.
Well, folks, I guess since I was off last week, I'd be the one that has to go first, right?
I feel like we normally might have given you a pass, but then I remembered I don't think we gave Henno a pass. So
no.
Rules is rules.
I don't think we did.
We're jerks. Yeah, rules is rules. Yeah.
So folks, I was off last week. Peeling back the curtain and being honest, like we always are on this show. My stepfather, unfortunately, has lost his battle with Parkinson's. So I came down to Florida last week and spent the last few days, or the last week and the last few days, with him and my mom as he's going through this transition. So, very surreal. He's been in my life for 35 years, probably 36 years, more like. So if you're doing the math, that made me about 5 when he entered my world.
I figured you were going to say like -16 or something like that. You know, like...
I should have. But yeah, he helped raise me. I lived with him most of my childhood, and just, you know, a very wonderful man in his own right. He was a firefighter, a veteran from the Navy. He was in the Navy for 2 years. A couple books, a couple novels, and basically taught me a lot about life and a lot about living. So may he rest in peace. But yeah, it's been interesting. I think my mom kind of summed it up best, and I don't know if those are listening have been through something similar. But when you're helping someone as they're going on their final journey, and I'm going to be very flowery and poetic about things, folks, because that's what I do. I'm not very good with the blunt, but
that's why me and Henno are here. No,
yes, that's why Brian and Henno are there. So, as you're going through all this, what you see on TV and the movies and stuff is very nice and seemingly somewhat easy. You know, you say nice things, they say nice things, everything is all lovey-dovey, and then they just go to sleep and wake up, and everything's pretty standard and simple and stuff.
Yeah, someone's riding on the beach while Bette Midler sings. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not life.
Bet you didn't think I'd make reality. A Beaches reference, did you?
I did not expect a Beaches reference. But that is not reality, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And this is the first time my mom's really gone through it, because her father died very suddenly of a heart attack, so she didn't have to go through this journey. And her mother, my grandmother, was up north, and my mom was down in Florida when my grandmother was ailing. So she's never really experienced this. So this is her first time going through it. I've been through it a few times now. And to me, she's like, I had no idea how draining and tiring and grueling the whole process can be.
Do you remember, like, after, like, one of the things I said, I think it was like a day or two after my dad died, I made a comment that I was, I was like, I would give anything to have him back, but the sense of relief that I felt at that point, because of knowing he wasn't suffering or dealing with that stuff anymore, but also, like you said, your mom said, it's just so hard on you trying to take care of people in that state and watching them basically just waste away. It's so,
correct, yeah.
So draining.
Sorry, I had to grab something to drink, and it almost went down the wrong way. Excuse me. So I am not getting choked up at this exact moment. I'm having trouble learning how to swallow.
I mean, you kind of were getting choked up.
I was getting choked up, but not
literally.
In the emotional way.
Right.
Sorry about that, everyone. So, so it's been a very, very big roller coaster ride through all of this. And at the same time, I was working. I'm so grateful that I'm in the position that I'm in, that I was working from home, my home, and I was able to talk to my boss and move everything to where I'm at now. I'm in Florida. And so I was able to set it up in the office and stuff and just be on hand to assist with anything needed and just to be here for the last week and a half. I'm just very grateful, I'm in a position of extreme gratitude to those who helped me facilitate this, because even 6 months ago, this wouldn't have been an option.
Yeah.
So it's just the way that things fell into place. And my mom calls it the, higher power or karma or kismet or whatever you choose. However it happened, the stars aligned and everything worked out the way it should. And thankfully, I've been able to do everything that I needed to do, and I could be here and be of service in a lot of different ways, which is just amazing. So the people I work with are just really superstars and stepped up and have been supporting me and helping me through this. And on Tuesday, when Ty passed, all I took was just a text message to my manager. I'm just like, I need to be off.
Yeah.
Starting immediately. And she's like, got it. She's like, I got you covered. Don't even think anything of it. The email's out. She did everything she needed to do to cover for me. And they just completely got my back. It means the world to me that I'm surrounded by such awesome people. Work is my social media peoples. I mean, there are no words for my social media peoples. You guys got my back completely. I just, I made a few different posts. People in my rooms on Twitter have just been so supportive, so amazing, funny, poignant, people that I've never met in my life. These are just strangers on the provided so much support and just solace knowing that at any time, any day, all I had to do was log in and there was a kind word for me and there was just overwhelming kindness. And you just don't, I have amazing family and friends. They've really, everybody has just surrounded us with this ultimate support system that made the world a difference. So this is just kind of buttonhole it a bit. This has just been a week of service, of just the ultimate service that I could possibly provide for anybody, and just being there, being in the moment, and a lot of stand there, but just the sheer presence of just me being there, I think brought comfort to my mom and to Ty during this time. And I was okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to help. I wanted to be, do things and stuff, but sometimes all I could do was just that was needed was for me just to be. So I got to sit and just be, which is horribly hard, when you want to take action.
Well, especially being a people pleaser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because again, going back to like when my dad died that day, you went into like host mode basically is the best way, or I can't remember what you called it, but you were a caretaker. You were going around making sure people had things to drink. You went and got food for people. You just basically just made sure everyone was taken care of during that time. And, so to just stand by is, it's like, this isn't what I do,
Yeah, it's like, don't you know?
Yeah.
Right. Don't you know who I think I should be right now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like, what can I do for you? Let me do something.
Yeah,
I have to do something. Give me something to do.
Yep.
But no. But that's it. That was it. And I really, the lessons learned, it's not necessarily what you do, or it's just sometimes just you is enough. And it's really hard to accept that sometimes, because it's like, no, I've got to do something. It's like, no, you don't. You can just be, and that's okay.
Well, like I've said countless times in here, sometimes doing nothing is doing something. So, like you said, just being there was enough.
Yeah. It's tough. We had our good moments of the last week. They weren't the traditional moments that you normally would think of, I love yous and you meant the world to me's and the final words and stuff. It was more along the lines of just, a little bit of reminiscing, a little bit of knowing who he was and what he would want and helping him through that.
Yeah.
In recognizing the fact that just because it may be something be helpful for someone else doesn't mean it would be right for him. Yeah. So it was really just, those were the moments when we could really recognize that we hit the spot, that this is what he needed and we provided it. Those were the good moments that were like, we were able to provide what he wanted. So it's pretty important, pretty tiring, and I slept a lot. I've been keeping up with my meds, everyone. So just so you know how important that is.
Yep.
So they've been really helpful. And the new med that I'm on to help me with my tears is doing well. I'm not, surprisingly, during this entire time, I've been able to hold it together for the most part, which is good. Come Saturday, we're having a memorial service for him online because COVID sucks. And social isolation awful. But so we can't have a funeral, but we are going to have a memorial online with a pastor leading it. So I'm sure it'll be lovely and stuff. So
yeah, probably. But that's okay. That's one of those that's like, if you're going to go, oh yeah, I'm at a funeral, it's like, this feels action.
This is an appropriate reaction to this moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
the toughest part is going to be I'm responsible for writing a piece of it, and so this is going to be a tough one. So I know I appreciate prayers of strength and stuff, because this is going to be a rough one. I mean, I hate to say it because I don't like to think of things like this, but this is a precursor. I grew up with 3 wonderful parents, my stepdad, my dad, and my mom, and all 3 of them are getting up in age. My stepdad was the oldest at 80, but my mom and my dad are both 71. So I can only imagine that this is going to get infinitely harder the more I go with them. But so it's just preparing for stuff. But overall, I feel good and I feel at peace. When you see a rainbow after the storm.
Yeah. And that's a good way of summing the situation. That was how I felt too, was once it was kind of over, it was kind of like things feel okay. Like it sucks, it hurts, but like you said, it does kind of feel like you just came through something and you're like, okay, there's still shining things, like life's going on. So yeah.
Yeah. So life continues and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But so that's what I've been up to. But
I mean, I slammed my thumb in the shower a few days ago. So
that hurts.
Was it a jam or a twist or a scrape?
No, it was like I what happened was the shower door has like a track at the top with 2 wheels that sit in it, right? And at the bottom of the door, there's these 2 rubber pieces, one on either end of the door. And so it was sitting, like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, is that crooked? So, you know, I'm thinking it came off the track somehow. So I lift the door and go, you know, whatever. And at one point I put my hand against the wall because I was trying to maneuver. And when I did, I slid the door. And yeah, just basically like right across the bottom of your thumbnail is like right above the knuckle. I went right across that. And I'm like, you know, and it hurt. And I'm thinking, you know, whatever. And, I turned to do something and, you know, where the mirror was, and I look and just the tip of my thumb is just red. And I'm like, oh, so, and it wasn't just a little cut. I mean, I got it pretty good. It didn't hurt that bad is the weird part. So it must have just been a real sharp in out kind of thing, you know? But, yeah, I was like, okay, then that's a good time. But yeah, that's probably the most exciting thing that happened to me this week. So, you know, I went and, you know, got a new, modem / router from the cable company today because the other one was like 3 or 4 times a day. It would just go out for 5-10 minutes and it, you know, was getting rid of it at random times. And I called them and, you know, they were like, well, you know, nothing shows wrong on our end, so it must be an equipment issue. So weird is like when you go log in, right? Like they ask you your phone number. They have a guy saying he wants your phone number. So you give him the phone number and then he goes, okay, you know, go over there and stand on the, so, you know, I hit my mark and, my feet no more in touch the X on the floor. The clerks is like, Brian? So I'm like, okay. Well, when I'm walking outside and my phone buzzes and I look and, you know, I have a text message from him and it's like, you know, your number is up now. And I'm like, I'm outside. Like, I'm done.
I'm done already.
Yeah. So when they're busy, that system, because, you know, it's kind of a first come, first serve, you know. Or whatever. When I was the only one there, basically, it makes a whole lot less sense because I was kind of looking in. There's no one in here. Like, you know, why don't you just tell me go stand over there, and then when the clerk's ready, she'll call me. You know, but yeah. Pulled a real bonehead move today. Forgot that I had a telemed appointment with my psychiatrist tomorrow. Thought today was the 12th all day. And I saw I had a call from the doctor's office, and I'm like, oh, that's to remind me about tomorrow. Not so much. That was the psychiatrist calling, you know, because I had an appointment. And what stinks is the time I had an appointment with her, she didn't call. So now I've had 3 appointments with her total. The first one was the one where I had to sit in that office for like half an hour, where we couldn't get things lined up. The second one, she didn't call me. The third one, basically, I didn't answer her phone call. Well, on the upside, my meds, so I don't need her for, you know, I don't need refills. And even if I did, my primary care doctor can refill at least my antidepressant. So I got a call tomorrow and reschedule that. And what was it, 2 days ago, I was supposed to have therapy, which I was very much looking forward to because, you know, things are getting to me. Like, a lot of things are getting to me. I'm noticing that my temper is shorter. I'm snapping on people a little more about dumb stuff. Like, mostly online people, you know, like, because of, you know, politics or dumb things like conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But still I'm noticing a difference, you know, and I don't want to put the energy into doing that, you know, energy into doing things that fit me rather than just enrage me. So, you know, and, you know, the uncertainty of everything is really feeling heavy. So I really was looking forward to the therapy. And I get a call that, oh yeah, actually it looks like she's not in the office today. Like, then why was the appointment made? Like, okay. And they're like, well, you know, they were having some issue with the computer, so they couldn't schedule it. So I have to call tomorrow anyway. So basically I have to reschedule both of those appointments. It's like, all right, you know, it's, you know, good test when, you know, your temperament is already a little gnarly, you know.
Oh yeah, testing your patience.
But whatever, you know, there's, you know, bigger fish at the moment, and there's just bigger things to worry about, you know. I did finally get some, which is making me feel a little better when I'm out, because all I had were N95 ones, and we only had, like, and it wasn't that I went out and bought them. We had them from when we painted years ago, and we had, I don't know, 6 or 7 left. So, you know, it wasn't like we had like a pack of 50 or something, you know, but, you know, one of my online friends sent me some, that he had, cause I was talking about how at the time I was trying to order some, but like everywhere I was trying to order from that was definitely a reputable place was back ordered by like 2 months. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need something here, you know, and I know, and it was like, well, I guess it's just get out my, you know, scissors and tape and stuff and make one. But, they sent me a full, and, you know, it did help because I've been kind of surly, like I said, thing to where a lot of people have, you know, kind of hoarded stuff. And this guy was like, hey, I have extra ones. I'll send them to you. And then would not take a cent from me, even for shipping. You know, just cause we're pals, which is cool, you know, and again, this is a guy I've never met in real life. We've just been friends on Twitter for a long time. And the people from Twitter that, you know, again, I've never met, but plan to someday, hopefully, line me up with, a couple of, growlers, a beer for just, like he's just calling and trying to support local breweries for his friends. So, you know, got a hold of a local brewery here and lined me up with a couple of growlers of beer. So, you know, it's like one of those, like I said, you know, you're feeling kind of surly and then life hits you with like, hey, dum-dum, how about some gratitude for, you know. Fine.
Whatever, remind me about what's important.
Yeah. It's like, geez. Yeah. So, you know, that I'm glad those things happened because not because of they were wins or whatever, but just because it was a good check, you know, cause I think it did kind of stop me cause I was finding myself just really like, I'm just feel like I'm walking around with like you know, I might as well have like a little storm cloud above my head as I'm walking around kind of a thing. Cause I'm just like that. And I really have tried so hard over the years to not be that person anymore. And, you know, whenever you feel yourself slipping back into that, it's like, okay, it's time to get into and or time to talk to the psychiatrist, you know, and I'm thinking, great, I got them both lined up this week. Aces. Not so fast. So, you know, whatever. And it's just, you know, just feeling my anxiety really gripping me pretty good. And another reason I want to get in front of it is, well, this actually kind of segues well, but the reason I want to get in front of it is I don't want it to get worse, but also because, you know, we had snow flurries here like 3 nights ago, and I think by the end of the middle of next week, it's supposed to be like in the 80s here. So it's just the way the weather is here. Bring in fall, man. It's crazy. It'll be 30 one day and 80 the next. It's but as it gets warmer, my anxiety naturally rises. The warmer I am, the more anxious I am. So I want to get this before it starts getting hot, you know, for our area. It just makes it more prone to anxiety attacks then. You know, and going out gives me such anxiety anyway. You know, but my big test for this was today, actually. I was with my mom. We, you know, went over to the exchange, the stuff, and she had a mask on because we had stopped to get, we had picked up some food, you know, and they bring it out to us, so she's wearing a mask to, you know, cover herself. And on the way home, the mask was, the way it was on her face, it was kind of like pushing, it was weird. It was kind of like pushing her eyelid to where it was basically pushing her eye closed almost because it had slid. And she couldn't get it to adjust right, so she was just going to take the thing off because we're just heading home now. She wanted me to just steady the car. You know, just reach over, grab the steering wheel, and just keep the car steady. There was no real traffic around us. I couldn't do it. I absolutely froze. And as we were talking about it afterwards, I realized that I had like a death grip on my right leg. I was holding like right behind my knee, like where your quad and your knee meet. Basically, I was holding right there. And I mean, my bicep was completely like tensed. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize I was doing it. That's how tense it made me. Just the thought of reaching over and just holding, basically just keeping the car between the lines. And I immediately was just freaked out about it. And I was like, wow. So again, you know, that'll be good to talk to the therapist about. But,
right.
So yeah, that was not a good moment. I came home, took one of my pills for my anxiety to help, you know, kind of back down, and that worked. I was okay after, you know, especially after getting out of the car. I'm usually okay after, you know, I don't know, 20 minutes, an hour, somewhere in that range. But anyway, so yeah, that was. I guess there was more weird stuff that happened this week than I thought. Trying to think. I think that's about it for me. I mean, that's quite a bit. Especially given the way my weeks have been lately, that's a pretty robust week. Because most of my weeks have been like, well, I woke up, I ate, so
I'm breathing.
Yeah, I mean, those are all great things. Yeah,
being quarantined is everybody for sure.
Yeah, well, it was, my brother came over yesterday, just because he's just stir crazy, and we were standing outside at a very wide distance talking. You know, he didn't even, you know, like I'm up on our porch, he's standing by his car away from, you know, and we were just talking, and then he's standing there, and he was going to go over to Office Max because he broke his computer chair, so he needs a new chair. And he's going to go over to, you know, buy a chair. And he was like, oh, you want to go with me? And then he stopped and was like, never mind. You know, it was like, would I like to go with you? Yes, because I'd like to go do anything that's not, you know. And it's weird. I have all these video games that I haven't made time to play. I've got stuff I could take pictures of and whatever for like eBay. Things I could do. But it's weird how when you're faced with the same stuff like that day after day after day, you're just like, you know, you're just like, I'm bored with all this. You know, like I want something that isn't one of my normal options. So, all right, there you go. How about you, Henno?
Let's see. Oh, speaking of loved ones, when I was driving to work yesterday morning, I think it was yesterday morning. It was the first time
Really?
Yeah, it was just random, out of the blue, felt it. It's totally mundane. Like, it was just another drive to work. And it just kind of hit me differently.
Oh, wow.
It was really trippy. Yeah. It's neat because it reminds me I'm still alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that I'm not heartless. That I'm not.
I get it.
I've thought about it at times where I was driving along and I'm like, you know, and it, like, I will bring him up in my mind, and there's not nothing there, but it's not like there's nothing emotional that comes along with it.
Yeah.
And to just have it happen like that, I was like, wow. But it was also like, oh, that's nice. You know, it is there. Yeah, it was a nice little reassurance.
Yeah. I know. I don't know if you remember me talking about, like, when I lost my niece and nephew and different stuff, to where I was like, wow, I feel like I didn't feel anything there. So that I talked to my therapist, because I was like, am I a cold, heartless robot, or is this a thing? So I get you. Yeah. So
that was kind of a trippy thing that happened.
Yeah.
Let's see what else happened. Actually, it was a nice financial moment where I was just doing my usual monthly check everything, and I'm like, oh wow, I could pay that off if I used to be back at that point.
Yeah.
because I haven't been now since 2 years or a year ago.
Sure.
Whatever it's been. It was a year ago, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's doable. I can do that.
Awesome.
That's an awesome feeling.
Feeling.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things where I've just it was nothing worth. It was just nothing worth looking at.
Right.
Like, there's just no good news there.
Yeah.
And it was just like all right. It's where, to me, it's that okay, chop wood, carry water.
Yep.
That's what I've been doing. That's ever since things got, it was like, okay, we got to spend money on stuff. That's all there is to it. And it'll all work out, and just chop wood, carry water. Don't obsess with it. Allow time to happen, allow patience and, time to go by, and things will look better. And if they finally looked better, I was like, yes. So that was a really good feeling. I kind of needed that a little bit. I needed a little bit of that, just to see light, the light again at the end of the tunnel a little bit.
Right.
Okay, yeah. I'm not exactly back where I was, but I'm not that, I'm closer than I am farther away again, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. It at least makes you feel like you're moving the right way,
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had it's mental check for me. There, like you said, Brian, there's a lot of stuff that would, a lot of people blasting about, fear and, indoctrination and sheeples and all this stuff, right? And
yeah.
It's annoying, and I don't, because it's just somebody's, their own little beliefs. But there was one thing, it finally got a little bit personal for me when Tom has been talking about us getting together and playing, and he first suggested this week, and I'm like, no, it's technically not legal yet.
Yeah.
For us to have four people that aren't related to each other in the same building.
Right.
But after this week it is. And so then he suggested maybe next week. And I said, well, let me marinate on it. And with him, we were working on some recording stuff, and it came up, and I needed a little bit, because he is a doctor. Yeah. He is very much engaged on this topic. He feels comfortable about this. Either we do it inside or outside, which I was like, outside, okay with that? But I was like,
right.
And as we started talking, it was like, okay, well, what's the difference between next week or next month? And there really is no difference. There's nothing, unless something happens on a medical basis, there's no difference.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, all right, well, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. At work, I'm very close with some of my coworkers, like physically close, because we have to be if we're doing something that requires two people to like lift something. Yeah. We're close, and I'm comfortable with them. I'm sure I will be, and I would be very much comfortable with Tom and everyone else. So then I said, well, okay, so what is it really that's holding me back at this point? Because there's nothing wrong with having an abundance of ed. There is nothing wrong with it, regardless of what anybody wants to say. It is our life and our decision to make. Right. And Tom said something that really I thought was great. He said, no matter what you decide to do right now, whether it's you have a gathering, maybe there's a sports thing, like they want to start soccer up with certain rules, and our health club's opening up next week, and and here I have an opportunity to play music, or maybe I have a chance to go out of town or something. He said, think about 2 weeks from now, you're at home, you're now quarantined for at least 2 weeks, and you think back, was it worth it? And I was like, that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? And therefore, and he said, and make a decision based on what you think you would look back and go, yes, that was worth it.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I can do that. And playing music is worth it to me to some degree.
Yeah.
Now, here's the twist. Yeah. Was it this morning? It was this morning or last night. He sends an article about a choir that got together, and 52 people ended up being sick.
Right.
Oh my God.
I'm like, not helping me.
Right?
Oh my.
Yep.
And I just went, these are the moments where I actually like to have blissful ignorance about certain things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, do I have fear? Is it a reasonable fear? Is it a self-centered fear? What is my motive for the fear? Is it based or is it just an excuse?
Yeah.
Because I really don't have interest in doing something. And it was a really good gut check this week for me to kind of put some things into perspective. Because I obviously have no issue with going to work and doing stuff around a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the people I don't even know.
Yeah.
And yet this is something where I do know the people.
Right.
And, and I'm still not there yet. And I'm going to have to sit on it for a little while because I have approached everything with an abundance of caution.
Yeah.
At some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's tough decisions.
Whether it's now or a year and a half from now, you're right. At some point there's going to have to be a release of that caution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point. And it's just a matter of, is there any difference between now or a month from now or 6 months from, because I'm going to Jamaica in October.
Yeah.
But going on at the island or with the airlines.
Right.
If everything is going, because if I do end up sick, I'm not going to look on it and say that was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Because I do want to get the heck out of here. and do I want to take the thought of like being quarantined, not being able to get back into the country? That's a possibility.
Yeah. That would
suck.
Honestly, that would probably be my biggest fear. Like the other stuff, obviously I'd be afraid of, but that's the one that would be the one where I think that would be my make or break point. If you were doing the pro con list, that's the one that whatever side I put that fear on, like, am I okay with it or am I horribly in the scale for me?
The only thing that makes it okay for me is that I would still have, because I would be covered by my work for those 2 weeks because that was our agreement for the year.
Ah, okay.
Because insecurity about it.
Yeah.
So then it's just a matter of, do I have a fear of it, like a legitimate fear of it?
Yeah.
Because there's no, obviously my dogs and things like that, that would be a bummer.
Yeah.
I think I'd make it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There just have to be some adjustments.
Yeah, right.
But so that was that was a kind of it was the first time I've had to face that concept.
Yeah.
Of, okay, am I ready to let go of some of the prudence?
Yeah.
So nothing too exciting.
Yeah. It's still, even though we're all going through our normations to a certain extent, still living in this environment of pseudo isolation and stuff, it's still causing, it's just weird. Things are just not back to normal yet.
Something I noticed? I don't know if other states people have noticed this and stuff too, but around here, like, stuff started opening back in Ohio, yesterday or today, a couple days, something like that. Pretty within the last couple days. The last time I was out, a good amount of people were wearing masks. This time, I saw very few.
Really?
Almost like people are like, oh, things are open, and just threw the masks and gloves aside. Yeah. And it was weird. Like, wow, I hope this isn't the norm way of thinking, Oh, I forgot one other thing today. I almost got mauled by an aggressively loving pit bull. Because where our cable place is, right next door is a Pet Supplies Plus. As I was coming out, a woman got out of her car, and she had the dog on a leash. But, for anyone who knows, pits are very strong dogs. And it kind of jerked her a little bit, and it didn't get away from her. She held on to it, but that, right as I was walking by, and it's coming toward me, and it wasn't like barking or it was just like, it was like, ooh, person. So yeah, I mean, it clearly was going to turn out terribly for me. I was going to get easily just kisses, So,
funny.
Yeah. And she looks at me, and this is the best part. She looked, and she was like, "I've explained social distancing to him, but he won't listen." So I was like, "Yeah, I understand."
I like it.
And I told her, I just kind of, I stood there, and she walked a little closer, and he sniffed me, and then I patted him on the head a couple of times, and he was fine with that. And then he immediately was, she's like, "Come on," and he's like, "Okay," and just up to the store with her. So. I have no doubt in my mind, though, that he probably would have knocked me over, and again, not in any sort of vicious way. It was just, there was no, like, I'm going to kill this dude in his eyes. It was all like,
I'm going to love this dude.
Yeah. Like, ooh, someone else. That was funny.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Heno, do you have our topic today?
I do.
Yay.
And this is not so much a topic as it's a little bit of a PSA, but it's also information about mental health. And it's something I saw on the television today, and it got me to go. And it's from Mental Health America, which is, you can go onto their website. It's mhanational.org. And they, for mental health, May is Mental Health Month. And they hashtag before stage 4. And it's the letter B, the number stage, and then the number 4 again. And their philosophy is, and I'm just going to read right here. It says, when we think about diabetes, we start way before stage 4. We begin with prevention. And when people are in their first stages of those diseases and have a persistent cough, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, we try immediately to reverse these symptoms. This is what we should be doing when people have serious mental illnesses too. When they first begin to experience symptoms such as loss of no reason, feeling low, feeling anxious, or we should act. These early symptoms might not ever become serious. Like away on their, they do not go away. It typically can take 10 years from the time they first appear until someone gets a correct diagnosis and proper treatment, which means if we ignore them, we in order to change people's lives for the better. For years, most people still have supports that allow them to succeed: home, family, friends, school, and work, so people can often recover quickly and live full and productive lives. Even when we do those lives, we can act effectively. We can offer people choices and supports to help them recover. These include clinical services, drugs, peer support, counseling, family supports, and other therapies that also help them manage their thoughts and emotions. These all help keep people connected to their families and their community. Intervening as early as possible preserves education, employment, social supports, housing, and brain power. It also costs the door of incarceration, hospitalization, and homelessness. And I love is that when we can help people before they lose those supports, those life supports, the chances of being able to find recovery have got to be just exponentially better than when someone loses those for, whatever reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So they're asking people to get involved, and there are 5 ways you can help. One thing is they have a confidential mental health screening and encourage family and friends to do so too. And so we'll have these links in the show notes, but they basically have mental health tests for depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar, parental youth tests, addiction tests. There's a whole bunch of them, and there's at the bottom it says a little bit of information about what each one is. And like I said, it's not just for you; it's for family, it's for friends. They encourage you to share a story. Get on, or they have a support at mental health and spread the word before stage 4. So so they have by contacting them. And then just basically it's about follow them on Twitter and Facebook and use the hashtag before stage 4 to try to make and they even have sample posts and things. But there's one thing that they had here which I thought was really good is the stages of mental health conditions and what they are, which I've never seen this at all, like presented like this. So I thought it was kind of cool. So stage 1 would be mild symptoms and warning signs. At stage 1, a person begins to show symptoms of a mental health condition, but is still able to maintain the ability to function at home, work, or school. Although perhaps not as easily as before they started to show symptoms, there is a sense that something is not right. So do you relate to that? Like
Completely.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay. I don't, it's weird how, so from addiction standpoint, like that I knew something wasn't right, but I was wrong because I was doing what everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So stage 2 is symptoms increase and frequently interfere with life activities and roles. At stage 2, it usually becomes obvious that something is wrong. A person's symptoms may become strong, appearing on top of existing ones, creating something of a snowball effect. Performance at work or school will become more difficult, and a person may have trouble keeping up with family duties, social obligations, or that I relate to.
Yeah, that's about where I started getting help.
Yeah.
And and for me, creating safety nets and whatever you call it, almost that's where I started building the denial, I guess.
Yeah.
Would that be
make sense?
like,
Yeah.
You know, I found I blamed other things. Because it's new symptoms may start appearing on top of existing ones.
Yeah.
So for addiction, it's everything that allows you to stay in your addiction, meaning you become a very, that to cover those obligations that you start to fail. Symptoms worsen with relapsing and recurring episodes accompanied by serious disruption in life activities and roles. At stage 3, symptoms have continued to increase in severity, and many symptoms are often taking place at the same time. A person may feel as though they're losing control of their life and the ability to fill their roles at home, work, or school. That's the one where I think I sought help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, it's interesting too because I think there's probably some variation based on what you're dealing with also, because like depression and some mental health stuff can kind of it yo-yos, Yeah. Because really like stage 4 with like depression and stuff, I mean, we'll get to it in a minute here of what they say it is, but it's like for me, like to where I've been suicidal and planning and blah, 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 in my head, that's, I don't know if that's 3 or 4, but it's, but then it kind of can come back down. So it's, it's interesting because like when I got help, I was probably in stage 2-ish, 2 to 3, but I feel like I've probably been much further and come backward, like because of that yo-yoing.
I identify with that because that's the whole relapsing and recurring kind of a thing that like, okay, this is a problem. I need to stop doing this, but then it happens again.
Right.
Okay, this is a problem. I need to stop doing this. I take some steps, but it happens again. And then finally there's some consequences, like it kind of says. All of a sudden you start losing control of their life and the ability to fill their roles. And that's where I finally hit that, like, that was impending. Like this was going to happen.
Right.
Right.
So stage 4, symptoms are persistent and severe and have jeopardized one's life. By stage 4, the combination of extreme, prolonged, and persistent symptoms and impairment often results in development of other health conditions and has the potential to turn into like unemployment, hospitalization, homelessness, or duration. In the worst cases, untreated mental illnesses can lead to loss of leverage of 25 years early.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's right up there as from what I know about alcoholism and addiction.
Yeah.
Hit stage 4, didn't quite get it, but then eventually did. And the ones that didn't are dead. I hate to say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
or they are in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild how, at least in Idaho, and it's just a matter of how a state sets up their just healthcare in general, is a lot of people that struggle with drug and alcohol addiction don't get their first help until they are in a hospital here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of like, or they've the judge.
Right.
And in some ways, I mean, we are, yes, like you can get a DUI and you're put in front of a judge early, but there's those consequences aren't very severe. They can be eye-opening to some people, but to a lot of people, it's not enough.
Yeah.
And so when you're finally facing actual incarceration or you're facing, so that's like the first time that even like maybe you should seek some help gets brought to you at stage 4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why this is really important.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Because it's the same thing. Like if you only start worrying if they've tried to commit suicide.
Exactly.
Then it's like, oh, geez, there's missed signals or not necessarily missed, but, there's been years of that building through, as they said here, like the stages beforehand. So, yeah, that's to get ahead of that stuff. Or even if it's not about like anxiety at stage 4 to where it's now like phobia more so and like life crippling phobias. As far as my anxiety goes, and I'm into that kind of category, and have been for years. I keep fighting against it, but it's one of those that, I would put myself, I feel like I'm in a 3 easy for phobia range. So, it very much impedes your life. And even though I may not end up like in jail or dead over the phobia, because fear is dictated that I don't want to leave my house. And I mean, I'm putting coronavirus time aside here, as I didn't want to leave much. So, it's gotten worse and worse. So, it's one of those things that I've been talking with, a therapist and a psychiatrist about it, to try to help. But again, it's like I realized that it was a phobia, not just probably into stage 3, kind of a range. It's like it isn't even like I always knew I had a fear, but I always was just like, it's just whatever. And, probably thinking I'm in 1 when I'm actually well into 2, coasting toward 3, because by the time you realize it. So it's important to kind of know what you're looking for. And as we've talked in other episodes, learning what symptoms some of these things have, not to diagnose anybody else or anything, but just to try to help make sure, just to help look out for dangerous signs for your friends.
And what's one of the things at the bottom in that particular link to now tools, which I think is awesome. Mm-hmm. It's, I talked about the problem. Now let's head to solutions. And they have their May is Mental Health Month 2020 Tools to Thrive. And there's there, and in that download, there's a toolkit. So for some people that want to be involved with social media, there's components for using sample posts, cover images, horizontal web banners for websites, that kind of stuff. But there's also printable handouts, and they are owning your feelings, finding the positive, eliminating toxic influences, creating healthy routines, supporting others. So there's some useful stuff worth looking at. And there's a whole side here of caregiver information for caregivers. And so that is, again, this is not just for people that feel this way, but this is also for maybe have someone in their life that is in one of those stages. And I think that's very important. I think one of the hardest things for anybody is to be on the sidelines, or watching somebody in these stages and how to be helpful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, some really great links in here. I hope you can go over, take a look at it, and know that if we can all share this a little bit, then maybe somebody who needs to see it can see it and can get some help.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, the stages are dead on. I mean, I completely get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that it's simple too.
Yes, exactly.
Always helpful.
Because I think that's one of the big hurdles is I know for myself, when I didn't even know where to go. I didn't even know who to ask. And a lot of times what you can find on the internet could be a little bit daunting. When you start seeing like, hey, 30 reasons you might have blah, 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 or something. And that's a lot.
Yep.
Pages, that's a little reasonable. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And also I like any sort of anonymous assistance that you can get, because that's the other part of it is some people they might feel embarrassed. They might feel peer pressure or familial or social pressures to not get help or to admit wrong.
Yeah.
And so the opportunities to actually reach out anonymously and get some information is huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, awesome.
there it is.
So, guys, that was really great information. And what do you think? Are we good?
It's a nice, tight episode.
Yep.
Yay! Nice, tight episode.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, we covered a lot of ground tonight, even if it is a little tight. But if you would like to continue the conversation with us, you know what to do. You can reach the Crazy Podcast.weebly.com is our website. The Crazy Life Podcast at outlook.com is our email address. You can reach me direct at Twitter under WhitskeyDitz. That's WHITSKEYDITZ. And if you would like to hear more from me, you can hear me on Shake the Sheets. It's a pop podcast that I do with my co-host Nate. And Henno, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Henno. Find me on Facebook and Facebook Messenger, Henno Heiter. Also check out my other podcast, the Moving the Needle podcast, MTN.com, where MTN Pod, right? Yeah. That just did, what was our last episode? The movie Top Secret, which was really fun. And this week we're going to be releasing a few days after this, couple days after this is a talk about the Blues Brothers. Yeah.
Can they reach you?
You can reach me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find this show. You can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. So please be careful. We're part of network.com. Please go check those other shows on that network out. We would appreciate it if you'd rate, review, and subscribe already. And please share with your friends, just to try to help us get the word out about the different topics we've talked about. If there's a topic you think, may be relevant to a friend of yours or something, I name the shows based on, hopefully that'll help you out. Or if not, contact us and one of us can point you in a direction. Or if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, feel free to send that to us as well. Let's see. Our Facebook group can be found at facebook.com/group/crazy .com/groups/crazy life podcast. And if you need help, as we said here, please reach out. I always have the crisis text line number and the website for the suicide prevention lifeline if you need those. But in our Facebook group, I have a whole bunch of other resources or whatever, or just, Google for whatever it is that you're looking for. And again, there's a lot of anonymous groups out there. Those are anonymous lines. So, please reach out for the help if you need it. And of course, try to practice kindness as we're going around here and, to yourself, to others, and, and just please keep thinking outside of yourself during these times. Like, I know it's hard because a lot of things are affecting us, but, keep in mind it's affecting other people. And the more we all do, the better it'll be for all of us. So, please be safe and please be smart.
Great words. And go out there, everybody. Take care of each other and ultimately take care of yourself. So have a great week and don't forget, wiggle those toes.